And we're back. John Della Rose here, the leading Hispanic voice and most dangerous voice in science fiction. The only person banned from Worldcon for political opinions since 1939, it turns out. If you didn't read my blog this morning, I am in good company. So I want you to read the blog. Here it is. I actually did a refresh of my entire social media brand this morning. I posted myself up new banners that was done by a wonderful artist. It's all over everything I got, including the YouTube channel. But I'll show you this right now because I want to show it off. So this is my banner. Delarose.com. This is beautiful. This is this Crusader art right here is by a gal named Rebecca Miner, and she's a comic artist. She's fantastic. She runs the Realm Makers conference, writers conference also. So look at this, just detailed, gorgeous job. And of course, fight the good fight. I love the font here. The font and design was done by an artist named Penn Astridge. She does book covers. She's really great too. But I'm in good company. That's the topic for today. I put that as my second topic. What was my first topic I was talking about? Alt Hero? I'll get to Alt Hero in a second. But basically, Worldcon in 1939 kicked out Isaac Asimov, of all people, because they were afraid that he was going to distribute pro-communist propaganda leaflets. Now, I wasn't going to distribute any leaflets, but I think they were just afraid that if I was there and some people saw me and some people realized I'm a fun, good person, you know, like everybody has at every other con I've been at, including Worldcon, that they'd lose their narrative message about me. And the narrative is so important these days to dehumanize the other side, to do something like that, that they really felt like they had to make this move preemptively. You know, it's an ugly thing. But in that, I am the only person that is deemed by a Worldcon to be as dangerous in my ideas as Isaac Asimov, and that's a pretty clear compliment right there. So I anticipate over the future, you know, what they don't realize that with the internet, it's a little different of a game. Now, eventually they accepted Isaac Asimov and they stopped their blackballing practices in 1939. It's yet to see if they will do that in the current year. But they also don't realize that with my own platforms, with social media, with all this, that their attempts to deplatform me, their attempts to just hate me out of the industry doesn't work, because I can put out my stuff as it is. And this actually ties into a rejection from Clarkesworld. I got a rejection from Clarkesworld this morning. I expected this. I sent in my story Compassion to them 2 days ago. They're very fast at Clarkesworld. I actually like Neil Clark quite a bit because he talked to me. He was respectful to me, and I actually support them on Patreon. I have no problem with them. My story is a prequel to my novel that I'm working on. It's done, but it's in edits right now, which is my Dave's Volt in Space novel. It's going to be called Justified, the Saga of the Nano Templar. And this is a prequel story to that. It involves a allegorical space Templar, and it's not nice to the allegorical space Muslims. So it's highly action-packed, which Clarkesworld doesn't typically like action-packed stuff anyway, but it's also got a very clear pro-Christian anti-Islam message that's a little over the top, and it's too dangerous for a magazine like that. Just like, that's the bottom line. They would never publish something with this kind of pro-Christian content. I would never see this coming out of them. So I knew it. But it offers an opportunity anyway to talk about it. I'm going to put it up in February on my Patreon. And the story is just going to be there. You guys who are my readers, who pay for the content, can get it. And it's going to, basically, I'm priming the pump, getting people interested in my future novel, Justified, the Saga of the Nano Templars, which hopefully I'll have out this summer. Hey, Coyote, how are you? And yeah, So that's it with Clarkesworld. It's pretty fun. This compassion story is pretty great. I've ran it by professionals before putting it out. So the story quality is very, very high. It's just far too dangerous a concept for them to ever publish. And I'm aware of this in the science fiction publishing community, which is why I do my own thing. Readers will love it, though. Promise you that. I promise everybody who has signed up for my Patreon is going to love this story. It's everything you want out of me. So the last thing I want to talk about is Alt Hero. So I've started work on the Alt Hero novel. I've been working with Vox Day on this. He called me last week and we discussed it, and he called me on Saturday and we also discussed it. He sent me everything we had to date. I reviewed it over the weekend. Vox's scripts, I can't say anything about them, but they're very well done for a person who's never written a comic script before. I mean, I would never know that based on what I read out of Vox's scripts. I'm very excited for what's going to be coming out of those. I also saw Chuck Dixon's scripts. So Chuck Dixon, he's just another world. It's amazing to be able to play in the same universe as this guy. He's been my hero for a long time. So those are great. The comics are coming along great. My novel is started. I submitted so how my process works like this. I create like a story sort of synopsis, basically. That's my process. I start it like I'm going to show it to you from far enough away that I'm going to tease you, and you're not going to be able to see it. I hope so you don't actually read this. But basically, my process looks like this. Hola. Here it is. See, I've got about a half a page right there. This is the Alt Hero concept. You can try to zoom in on that. I submitted that to Vox. It's 3 paragraphs right there, 442 words, and this was my story. Vox liked it. It is approved, and then I started going to work. And what I do is for the main characters. Character templates here. I'm gonna spoil a little bit. Okay, so I've got the Guillermo del Toro character sheet, and I do name. Oh, now you know the name of my character, and there you go. So there's some stuff. Sure thing. Yeah, I try to be insightful. So I start with my basic concept, and then what I do is I make my characters, and I unfortunately I can't play video games and write because it just wrecks my wrists. I write like 3,000-4,000 words a day, and there's no way I can do things that have to go like this on top of that. So I write my main concept, then I write my characters, and I do a full sheet that each character, this is about 400 words also. Each character main character gets that kind of treatment to where I know their motivations, I know who they are. That way, when I go back and I draft my outline based on my main concept, I actually have the character motivations in my head, and the outline can change a little from the main concept just based on the way the characters act and the way they are. And so by the time I get to my first draft, I've got a very solid story typically. Now I wrote my outline last night, also in addition to the character sheets. Once I was done with the characters, I got excited. My outline is about 2,500 words for this book. And I didn't like the way it opened, so I'm actually going to rewrite the opening. I think the middle and end sections are phenomenal, but yes, I'm already rewriting just to make this the best story it possibly can be. So that's kind of my process. I want to get my like structure dialed out before I ever set to writing, and that way, it's mostly line editing and a couple minor changes rather than having to write a whole book and then realize, okay, well, this first third of this needs to be redone. I don't want to go there. I'd rather nip that in the bud at the outline stage, and that way I can get things a little cleaner even by the time I write it. So I do a lot of pre-prep for my novel work, and I think it shows in how tight my stories are. When you get to my Justified book, when it comes out, let's see, I didn't used to do this. I wrote an outline, but I wasn't so clear on this. But I've refined that over the course of a few books. So I think Justified is the first book where I use this process from start to finish before ever trying anything else. For Steam & Country was early enough that I was kind of exploring writing still in my first drafts. And I had to rewrite a lot of For Steam & Country, and that's the Stars Entwined, which will be coming out very shortly. also had that. I didn't have this process. That was my first book I ever wrote. Last year, I actually had to go through and I rewrote the entire book. It basically came from scratch. I mean, it's got same story, but it mostly came from scratch because I had to do a lot of heavy lifting, and so I never want to do that again. And as such, I outlined very robustly so that I am so prepared and everything's so tight before I even set pen to paper. And yeah, Alt Hero is going to be fantastic because yeah, this will be my, how many books are written now? Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be my 6th book. Is that right? Yeah. This will be my 6th book. So it's definitely a process I've figured out how to do by this point. And yeah, I think y'all are gonna love it. We've gotten a lot of flack the last few days. I don't know where this came from, but Ethan Van Sciver and Diversity in Comics decided to go off on Alt Hero and how it's going to be terrible. Blah 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 blah. They have no insider information. They're not in contact with us. They've not received any preliminary information. They're just spouting off on Twitter, and I have no idea why they would be attacking their own side on Twitter like that without even having seen the product. I can tell you just from reading the scripts that these are going to be fantastic. Vox's book is going to be fantastic. Chuck's book is going to be fantastic. Like I said, I need to rewrite my opening third here, but it's also going to be fantastic. And my book's not going to be what you expect at all. I can tell you this right now. It's going to shock you what I'm going to do because Vox and I have come up with a concept that really turns this whole thing on its head. So you have no idea what's coming. I guess you have a little idea because I just showed a bit, but it's going to be very cool, and I'm excited. So yeah, I'm going to probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to revise my outline before I present it to Vox. I have not presented it to Vox yet. You guys are the first to even hear about it. Like I said, my opening was a little slow, and I want to give you a little more action. Basically, is what's going on. And with that, once I do that, I will submit it to Vox and let you guys know what's going on there. So that's everything that's going on right now. I mean, pretty big week. We blew up big last week in terms of sales. I didn't expect that at all, and which I got to thank Megan Fox at PJ Media for getting the truth out there for me and letting people know about that. So they came to check me out. And yeah, we got our brand refresh. I love my brand. Did you guys tune in with my just look on Twitter. Look on Twitter or whatnot and look at my new banners. They're so beautiful. I'm extremely happy about that. They don't really have a sci-fi message, which is it's a little more fantasy look, but that's okay because for Seaman Country's fantasy, so it works out. So yeah, I'm gonna be working hard, guys. I'm gonna try to bust this Alt Hero novel out, and then probably get to I have a super secret comic book project that's gonna rock the comic book world also. So I can't talk about that just yet, but it'll be worked on the next few days. Oh, cool. I'll look on for Anarchy Angels live stream. Thanks a lot for talking about it. Yeah, the real deal is there's a lot of bad going on in the industry. There's a lot of bad going on in multiple industries. I mean, if you look at I'm just looking at this James Damore thing, and it's like, whoa, this is like what I just went through was just like a microcosm of what's going on in businesses in California, in probably New York too. It's going on. There's just some people who just really got twisted and thought that they can just hurt other people because of their political affiliations or who they associate with, and that's not the way we want to treat people as other human beings. So I'm in the same fight as James Damore. It's a different thing, but it's very similar. Yeah, just go ahead and shoot that link to me. That'll be great. But this is all the same cause, and the cause is freedom. The cause is freedom of speech. The cause is civil rights, and this is the new front in civil rights. And by the way, guys, it's going to get worse before it gets better. The companies think that they are in the right. They think that they can do this. They think that they can hurt anyone in any way they possibly can, and it doesn't matter because they're the heroes in their own minds by doing that. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take it's going to take the entire movement to push the mainstream of our culture back to a place where it's safe for everybody to be able to do, to write, to have ideas, and to be free artists. So thank you everybody for the support. I hope that was informative and useful. You got a little bit of that. Please support the Patreon. The Patreon is my short stories every month. I give draft chapters and things like that. I don't know that I'll be able to put anything from Alt Hero on there. I'll have to get Vox's permission on that, but I'll try. At the higher levels, you get ebooks before they're out. And I've been giving gifts to people. People who are subscribed could tell you I've been giving gifts out to people, extra books, things like that, just to try to, I want to take care of my audience. Bottom line is, I do this. This Periscope doesn't give me any money. I just do this to connect with my audience, to talk to you guys, show you what I'm doing. And, I need to make a living at this too. So thank you so much for tuning in and all of your support. It's been fantastic. And we're just going to crush it in 2018 and come out with the best stuff you've ever seen in science fiction. Thanks a lot.